Hi, and welcome to the show. Is it fair that schools get blamed for students leaving because of bullying? It is. Is it fair that schools don't have the resources to end this, to have zero tolerance for this? No. Is it fair that the parents are being blamed for these kids being bullied? No. And is it fair that violence in schools has risen up because schools do not have zero tolerance policies? No. And is it fair that Dr. Phil has to leave and not deal with this? I'm getting off the topic here. But you guys know what I mean. Throughout the 6 years of this show, we've dealt with violence in our schools. From fights in the bathroom, to fights in the hallways, to classroom chaos. We've covered every single education issue on the book. And in just a few minutes, I'm going to play a video from 2 days ago that prompted a lot of school violence. That's the issue we're focused on. There's a lot of school violence going on. Even in these Florida schools, and if you were in Florida, if you were in Florida schools, you may have realized a fight that took place at the Miami-Dade Public School, and how is this all affecting these kids? Now, if you witnessed a fight, I mean, we have to teach kids not to be sitting there filming with their cell phones. Every fight that you see, around, people are videotaping these fights, and then they're posting on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, any social media, and not helping them out. If you see a fight happening, you don't just go in and film with your cell phone. No, you step in and break it up. Even if, and I do mean this, even if you get attacked, you would be the hero. Your friends will be applauding you for breaking up that fight. If you don't know how to break up a fight, ask someone. Just ask them, hey, how do I break up a fight? Or look up a video on YouTube on how to break up a fight. They will teach you how to break up a fight. We're not going to go through this whole situation here about breaking up fights or whatever. Here's Anna McAllister.
Another brawl at a Miami-Dade public school. Another incident of what one student says is excessive bullying.
It's crazy because about a week prior to the incident, I've been begging my mom to switch me out. We've been trying to switch out of the school before anything like this had happened.
This 16-year-old student who wished to remain anonymous says she was targeted and attacked at Killian High School last Friday. Cell phone video shows the moment she was pummeled to the ground.
They actually pulled one of my braids out and I hit my head on the back of the wall. It makes me feel bad because who wants to see yourself or themselves getting jumped in a video?
CBS 4 obtained this video just a day after receiving footage of a 9 and a 10-year-old brutally beaten on a Miami-Dade public school bus. The father of the 16-year-old student says this week has been incredibly hard for their family.
No parent wants to see their child go through this.
So the family made the tough decision to remove their daughter from the school just a year before she was set to graduate.
I can't bully the bullies. I have to show her how to handle this. So, we're going about it a different way.
We asked Miami-Dade Public Schools what parents and students should do if they're experiencing bullying. The district recommended several resources, including reporting any incidents to the bullying button on the student portal, by meeting with a teacher or counselor to report the incident, or by calling the MDCPS Crisis Helpline at 305-995-2273. We also asked the district what happened with the students who attacked the 16-year-old girl. We were told that they were given a civil citation, but they would not elaborate if those students were expelled or suspended. I also asked about the incident from yesterday with that 9 and 10-year-old on the school bus being attacked, and I was told that incident remains under investigation and they're looking into whether or not that bus driver has any responsibility and if they're going to face any disciplinary action. Reporting live in Kendall, Anna McAllister, CBS 4 News Tonight.
Okay. Here's where people are getting this wrong. Do not be a hero. If you're going to be a hero, it's going to end up. I mean, you try to, if you see something happen, there's a fight, you go to the teacher. You may break it up yourself. Leave it to the administrators. When I was in high school, there was a thing called SDGC, which means Student Discipline Guidance Center. It was to where everyone was wearing their white shirt uniforms like I have on. They were in jeans and belts. You go across the street there. You were in those things all day. Now it's taken away for now it was gone. I think it's still there. I'm not sure. But even if it was there, it used to be like the dress code changed where you just wear whatever you want. You do your assignments. If you did something you're not supposed to do, that you would be sent across the street. You had ISS, then they would take you to incident. If you had ISS, then right across the street. You punch somebody, across the street you would go. That's the solution out of school suspension. Well, coming up next, there was a fight that happened where a perfect storm caused violence in schools, experts say. Then we're going to hear from students who say fewer severe punishments concern those students. And then later on, does everything have to be illegal? Stay with us. If you're just joining us, we're focusing on violence in our schools, an issue we've tackled 6 years throughout the show. Now, just 2 days ago in Miami, Florida, we're going back to Florida now. We're still in Florida after a student was being bullied and the father decided to switch schools. Now we're still in Florida where 2 days ago there was a fight that happened on a school bus, and video has just been obtained to show what had happened. I have to forewarn you about this. This video that you're about to see is very disturbing to watch. And again, really, now I have to warn you, this video that you're about to see is clearly inappropriate. Please ask your children to leave the room. I'm serious, you really do not want your kids watching this, and it's not going to be fun for you to see it. But we have to be aware of what's going on in our public schools and what our kids are doing. Okay, here's that video.
I get a call from my friend. You need to go call the cops. You need to go to the school right away. Your daughter was beat up pretty badly on the school bus.
Her daughter, just 9 years old, a third grader at Coconut Palm K-8 Academy in Homestead, caught on camera trying to shield her head as a boy,
Attacked by an older kid,
stands over her, landing blows. She cowers, and then a second student begins punching her.
I don't see any adult intervention at all.
The victim's mom telling us, in her short time enrolling her children here, she has already encountered
Issues of bullying and fights in the school.
and it comes on the heels of this violent incident at West Broward High School. And this brutal attack at Miami Beach Senior High.
This violence has got to stop. It's starting from somewhere.
And from the school's perspective, there have been reported increases in behavioral outbursts, behavioral aggression, fights on their campuses also, kind of post-COVID.
Dr. Sharon Hoover, co-director of the National Center for School Mental Health, has been tracking upticks in school violence nationwide.
Pre-COVID, we saw increases in mental health concerns for our young people.
Entering pandemic-era learning disruptions, social isolation,
along with a workforce, an education workforce that is also struggling. It's kind of the perfect storm for some of these incidents that we're seeing.
And back to that case in Homestead, Miami-Dade County Public Schools telling us today that the students involved are facing disciplinary action per the Student Code of Student Conduct, and that Miami-Dade Schools Police have identified one student that they describe as an offender, saying that they have issued that offender a civil citation. Reporting live for you tonight in Miami, I'm Christina Vasquez, Local 10 News.
Okay. I'm really glad something's been happening here, but she has a point. This is all due to the pandemic. We blame everything during the pandemic. During the pandemic, we quit our jobs. We've dropped out of school. We all blame the pandemic. Quit blaming the pandemic. It is your own damn fault. You kids out there, you listen. You're the reason to start this fight. This is your own damn fault. You parents out there, it's also your damn fault for not teaching your kids right from wrong. The key here is to educate your kids, talk to your kids about why it's appropriate, why it's not appropriate to fight. And trust me, I never fight in school. If I started a fight, I sure as hell will finish that damn fight. Or end that damn fight. So if I see a fight happen, what do I just tape it? No. I go to an adult, tell them what's going on, run to the scene, and the adult will take care of it. That's what I do. I don't take matters by my hands by just putting on my fist and going, put them on. That's not what I do. I don't cross the line. And if I did cross that damn line, I'm not going back. It's just a slap in the face. That's what it was. That's what it was. And now there's very severe punishment for concerned students. Take a look at this.
Students are talking about the problems.
Fox 5's Brittany Edney has more on the increase in violence, decrease in punishment, and the fears students face as hallways turn into stages for fights.
Gwinnett County Public Schools has received criticism from parents both in public meetings and also online. Students say it's time for the district to get things under control. A student gave Fox 5 this video of a fight that broke out at Peachtree Ridge High School in August. We spoke to another student, sophomore Tyler Lee, about what he's seen on campus.
A lot of students engaging in physical altercations, verbal altercations with other students and staff and administrators even.
The district reports a nearly 35% increase in violence from 2021 to 2022. But tribunals, where the most serious violations are dealt with, are down nearly 88%. Suspensions are also down. Statistics some students say impact their decisions at school.
Sometimes I won't use specific restrooms within school because it is known for sponsoring illicit activities such as drug use or fights, things like that. And so there are definitely some places to stray away from. But I would also argue that, this has been a high school thing for a while.
In November, Peachtree Ridge High School students received a school notification about a student who was arrested after an unloaded gun was found in the trunk of their vehicle, along with bullets stored in the center console.
And that was extremely disturbing to me, and it was sent out through a mass email from our principal.
We reached out to the Gwinnett County School Board of Education members and also the superintendent, Calvin Watts, for comment. So far, the district has not gotten back to us, and one of the board members also referred us to the district. We have yet to receive a statement of any kind. In Gwinnett County, I'm Brittany Edney, Fox 5 News.
So suspension right now. Does that lead you to believe that something's going on? Probably not. What can be done about this? Like I said before, parents, you need to tell your kids what you expect from them. When you were kids, when you were going to school, you got all A's and B's. Tell the same thing to your damn kids, and maybe they'll understand. Don't start a fight. Don't do this. Don't do that. If your child is being bullied, don't tell them to go punch them in the damn face. Walk to the damn principal, and they will take care of it. Don't go solving the problems yourselves. Words, we communicate. Our voice. We talk. That's the way to problem solve here. We speak. That's the way we do things. Y'all gotta hear me for a minute. In the case for these videos right here, there ain't no damn winner you go to sign out here. There ain't no winner you go to really sign out of here. But if there was a winner for you to sign out to, we wouldn't even know. But like I said before, if I start a damn fight, I sure as hell will finish it. That's how I roll. I don't pick fights, and if I pick a fight, I'll finish that damn fight. No matter what. If I go to jail, it's a lesson I'll learn. You think jail is cool? Jail is not cool. I've experienced jail. I've seen it on the news, TV shows, movies, documentaries. Do I have to play? I'm not going to play that clip for Hates Chris because I do not want YouTube to demonetize me. But it's the point we have to make here. We have to educate kids on why it's not good to pick fights. We also have to tell you guys out there if you're going to think twice before you videotape or post it on YouTube. Don't post it on YouTube. Because no one plays fair. Are you aware that CDs cost about $1 to make? Up next, a consumer one that you won't miss as we experience why CDs are so expensive. Stay with us. How much do you think Tim McGraw and Blake Shelton are worth? More than about how much the price of CD costs to make. If you were in Walmart or any other store buying CDs, you may realize the CD prices have gone up. Mainly because the technology is being used. But there was an answer back then. Here's Josh Bengals with tonight's Consumer Alert.
It takes only a few minutes to turn a little plastic into a compact disc and send it on its way to a rendezvous with your plastic. Americans bought more than 700 million of these last year. Many of them ended up in Brian Belknap's apartment. How many do we have now?
There's somewhere between 800 and 900.
Brian makes lattes for a living. And you're making how much an hour?
About $9.70 with tips, something like that.
How you doing?
I don't know. I spend most of my money on CDs. I don't really spend it on much else.
Brian likes CDs, and the record companies like Brian. In fact, they like anyone who can whip out $16 for the latest thing from Sting. But the thing is, while CDs cost anywhere from $13 to $20 to buy, they're only 50 cents to $1 to make. So why do they cost you so much? That's a good question. CDs hit the marketplace in 1983. A marriage of music and money at the corner of Hollywood and vinyl. At first, they cost around $20 because the technology was so new, so expensive. But record companies promised the price would soon come down. And it did, until CDs became the industry standard. Then the price began to rise again, and soon, like the Cranberries, consumers were whining. CD prices.
Incredible. Outrageous.
Does $15.99 seem like a lot of money for a CD?
Yes.
You know, they cost about $1 to make.
Okay, so, case closed.
Have you noticed that the price of new CDs has been going up over the last couple of years?
And that's why I haven't bought any lately.
If CDs cost less than $1 to make, why do they cost $15, $16, $17 to buy?
Seems like a fair margin to me.
Michael Sukin is a music industry lawyer and a former record company executive.
Yes.
And like most record company executives, he says a CD costs much more than just the raw materials.
There's all the stuff that goes into marketing it, promoting it, producing a record. So the record companies put out hundreds or thousands of records a year. It's an enormous investment, which they have to recoup off the winners, because the losers, they can't recoup any of this money.
In other words, when you're paying top dollar for that Blues Traveler CD, you're also helping A&M Records bring America the Ass Ponies. The Ass Ponies. I wonder when they were coming out with a new one. But that still doesn't explain why CDs cost so much more than cassette tapes.
They could charge more if it costs more than a cassette to make it.
It costs about the same.
Really?
Yes, really. Cassettes and CDs cost almost exactly the same to manufacture. And it also costs the same to produce and advertise an album, whether it's a $9.98 cassette or a $15.98 CD. A huge price difference for the same musical product.
Is it worth it to you? I mean, honestly, look at me, tell me the truth.
I mean, you're buying it for your girlfriend.
I buy it for my girl, but I feel awful. I need to vent this on somebody. Help me out, man. So, do you feel awful for me for doing this?
$23 seems like a lot for ABBA.
For ABBA? Come on. Aren't they dead?
No, they're probably headed for the ATM. The more successful an act is, the more money it brings in. If you've got a top dollar contract like Janet Jackson's, you get rich. But more often, it's the record company and not the performer who gets rich when you buy a CD.
The fact of the matter is that once a record company begins to make its money back on its investment on an album, it's like driving a truck up to the mint.
Anthony DeCurtis is a contributing editor at Rolling Stone magazine. Why do CDs cost as much as they do?
The music industry is not going to lower the price of CDs, even though the price of manufacturing them has declined. Partly it's because people have gotten used to spending what they're spending. Partly it's because the industry is in a slump and they don't want to lower the price.
You mean they like making that money, and so they're going to keep making that money?
Exactly.
But are they doing it illegally?
There's possibly billions of dollars being overcharged the American consumer.
Attorney Michael Hausfeld thinks the major record labels are conspiring to charge artificially high prices. And on behalf of consumers, he's filed a lawsuit accusing the major labels of price fixing. When I walk into the music store and buy a CD, how much more am I paying than I ought to be paying?
We think probably about $3 more.
And that money goes straight to the record companies.
Yeah.
How big an issue is this for the music industry? Well, consider this. Of the 6 major recording companies, not one would sit down and talk with us about how they price their CDs. And every single recording artist we contacted also told us that talking about CD prices is a no-win situation. $30.99?
Well, that's the original master recording, Pink Floyd. What do you expect?
You can expect the industry to figure out what you want and how badly you want it. One reason CD prices are so high is that you're willing to pay them.
First you were used to $14.98, then $15.98, now $17.98. It's a question of habit. And I think that when they come up again, there won't be a problem.
Need it, want it, must have it.
Must have it. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm spending all my hard-earned money on back.
Thank you, Josh. He does have a point here. You can expect them what you really want. If you really wanted the new Blake Shelton CD, you'd have to work for it. Like we were talking when we were kids. If you really want something in your life, you have to work for it. That's the hard lesson. Coming up next, selling lemonade, recording police, prostitution, drugs. Does everything have to be illegal? Some examples when we return. Stay with us. In America, we live in America where we follow the laws. And in America these days, it seems like everything is illegal. What's more American than just opening up a lemonade stand or baking a cookie sale? Sounds to me like they forgot something. Something like this. A little food handler's permit. Now, if you're working in restaurants, this is what you're required to get. Or if you're going to sell hot chocolate with someone else, you need this. Have it by your side next time you're going to think about selling stuff. So tonight, a look at some stuff that is legal. Look at these illegal things. From selling lemonade to recording the police without the consent. Because it's legal. Except in New Hampshire. You live in New Hampshire, they have a wiretap law that says you have to have the consent of all parties in order to record audio. Sound fair? Here's John Stossel.
What's more American than opening a lemonade stand?
Would you like some lemonade?
Yes, please.
Who's first? Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
For years, kids have set up stands like this. But today, watch out. The police may bust you.
I was really scared because I didn't know what was going to happen. We were just selling lemonade in our front yard for about 3 days. And the third day, the police decided to shut us down.
Their mom heard the police yelling.
And I could hear them from inside my house yelling at them. Girls, you have to shut the lemonade stand down.
It made me want to open my own stand here in Fox's front yard. There's a cop over there. Will the police bust me?
There are so many vague laws that everybody arguably could be caught up in it.
Lawyer Harvey Silverglade says America's avalanche of new laws. This is just what the feds added last year. Makes criminals of just about all of us.
Every citizen arguably could be shown to have violated some regulation in these stacks, and that's the danger to liberty.
The police never told these girls why they were shut down.
My husband stopped at the city hall to try to find out, and the city official laughed at him and said, "Really? They shut your lemonade stand down?" And he says, "Yeah, I'd like to see what law I'm breaking." She didn't even know.
Eventually, the police chief explained,
We're not aware of how the lemonade was made, who made the lemonade, or what the lemonade was made with. We understand you guys are young, but still, you're breaking the law, and we can't let you do it anymore.
Appleton, Wisconsin shut down these girls' lemonade stand. And these kids in Texas were stopped too.
They said that you needed a permit to sell.
In Hazelwood, Illinois, Caitlin and Abigail Mills sold Girl Scout cookies from their own front yard. But then the city sent them a letter ordering them to stop.
I looked at it and I was like, what? Cookies, come on, it's Girl Scouts.
All these people ran afoul of laws they didn't know existed and still don't understand.
They're ununderstandable. Not only to people like you who are not lawyers, to people like me. I am a lawyer, and I can tell you, I don't.
Incomprehensible to you.
Incomprehensible to me.
Even the police don't understand. She said the Roberts Kids Lemonade stand violated the law, but
2 officers the previous day bought lemonade from them and tipped them.
in Scottsdale, Arizona, Dr. Reed Tarazi is accused of breaking the city's nuisance and property maintenance ordinance. His crime? This tree in his backyard. It's the wrong kind.
They said if you don't remove the tree, you'll be fined $2,000 a day.
Or I could face imprisonment for 6 months.
You bought the house partly because of this tree.
Yes.
But it turned out this tree wasn't on the Planning and Development Services Department's list of approved trees. It's odd because there are a bunch of them in the area.
And so you point this out to the authorities, and they say what?
Let us know who they are, and we will cite them as well.
In California, Stephanie and Chuck Fromm were fined for holding Bible studies in their home.
Need a conditional use permit, CUP, to hold meetings.
Okay, and that's tricky. It goes down this road of traffic studies, earthquake studies, land studies. This can be tens of thousands of dollars.
You then ask them, how many people make for a meeting?
And the code enforcer and his boss that was there from the planning department said more than 3.
And you have more than 3 kids.
I have 5.
Famous people accused of breaking the law can fight zealous prosecutors. They can afford the expensive lawyers who often get them reduced sentences or acquittal.
But what if you're just an ordinary businessman and you import these guys? Watch out. You could go to jail for years.
We didn't catch the lobster. We didn't see the lobster.
Abby Schoenwetter used to import seafood. Then authorities said, you're in trouble.
I did the same thing for 13 years, over and over. Clear customs and FDA, bring the lobster tails in and sell them. Nobody in the government ever had a problem with that until that day when they walked up on the dock and said, don't offload your lobster tails.
Customs shows up and says, stop unloading, put them back.
We put them back and we were wondering what the heck happened. They didn't really know the answer.
We know that, you shouldn't murder and you shouldn't steal. Those are intuitive. That's old-fashioned. Now, the laws are much more technical and vague.
The government eventually said he broke 4 obscure regulations that are on the books in Honduras.
That said they had to be packaged in 40-pound boxes. We had them in plastic bags.
Everybody was using plastic bags.
I started in 1986 and was always doing it the same way.
In the end, even Honduras said, no, you got it wrong. It didn't matter.
7:30 in the morning. There's about 6 or 7 black vans. There's FBI, IRS, National Marine Fisheries Service, Customs. There's about 13 of them on my deck, all with guns.
And that was just the beginning of Abby's nightmare.
And you were sentenced to
8 years, 1 month.
That's right, 8 years and a month. Maybe he was a repeat offender?
Any trouble with the law before this?
The worst thing I had was a speeding ticket. That was it.
He served 6 years in jail.
What's happened to your business?
I went broke.
What's happened to your family?
They went broke also, and it broke up. My kids are back home with their mother, and that's the story.
I assume these attorneys general and state's attorneys, they're not evil people. Okay, they're ambitious, they want to make a name for themselves, but they don't want to hurt people who didn't really do nasty things.
Most are not evil, but there are a lot of fanatics.
Prosecutors have noticed that other prosecutors like Eliot Spitzer, Rudy Giuliani, Senator Richard Blumenthal won high office by racking up impressive conviction records.
You see all these regulations around here? They will comb the books and they will find something.
This could happen to you. They can take any law that they think you broke and take you to trial. And whether you win or lose, you're going to lose. Because by the time you're done fighting it, you're broke.
Of course, the government never goes broke.
They must have spent $1 million taxpayer dollars going at it.
I heard they spent $5 million.
The amount of money that it takes bankrupts the typical individual.
How much money does it take?
Oh, I've had clients who have spent $10 million.
I cannot even imagine how much money they spent prosecuting my husband.
The feds tried Jill Barron's husband, Jack, and lost. But instead of apologizing for getting it wrong, they now threaten to fine him $37,000 a day. What terrible crime did the government say Jack and Jill committed? Trying to build a house on their own property.
The county gave you permission to build
Yes, they did. And they inspected the foundation and approved it.
So you started to build.
Mm-hmm.
But a government-owned drainage ditch nearby was clogged with logs, so Jack asked the government to fix it.
They told my husband, we are backed up 6 months. If you can clean the ditch, go ahead and do it. So he used his backhoe. He removed huge logs out of this ditch. The water poured off the land, and we were cited one felony for cleaning the ditch.
What?
A felony charge. It gave the property the appearance of being a wetlands. The state government floods your property, and then the federal government comes and charges you with felonies for building on a wetland.
And it clearly isn't a wetland. Jack is digging a well here. He had to go deep down. He wasn't finding water.
He was down about 8 feet, could not find a water table.
I should repeat, a jury cleared Jack of all charges.
And we won. But after we were home for a month maybe, the Army Corps of Engineers and the EPA sent us another letter saying how nice for you that you won in the criminal court, but we still fill it the wetlands, and the decision made by the jury did not matter to them. And if you don't get off the property, we're going to fine you civil.
What does that mean?
$37,500 a day.
They've had to sell their home. Now they live in a modified trailer.
So this has already almost taken everything you have.
Well, yeah, but I wouldn't live like that.
And their life savings?
We'll be bankrupt, obviously. You have no idea what you're up against. You don't know the power that is the EPA.
They have all the time and resources in the world. It's an implacable foe with unlimited budget, and they wear you down.
They just come in and ruin lives.
And so our government, that's supposed to be by the people, for the people, sometimes is against the people.
That's a fact here. Going back to lemonade stands, the question is, what does it take to open up a lemonade stand legally? Coming up, John Stossel is going to show you. Stay with us. We turn now to illegal everything. You've seen what can happen when you break the laws, from clearing a ditch, to open up your own lemonade stand, to selling cookies, to even building your own house. But the question is, but going back to lemonade stands, the question is, what does it take to open up a lemonade stand legally in America? Here again, John Stossel.
Lemonade for sale.
The fact that American police now tell little kids that they don't have the proper permits to do this
50 cents.
Made me wonder.
What does it take to open a lemonade stand legally in America?
A call to the New York City Information Department directed me to this website. This is supposed to make licensing simple.
Oh, the wizard. They make it easy. Except What?
There were unintelligible questions.
I need an EIN assistant, says the IR. What's an EIN assistant? Oh, an employee identification number.
The government said I had to take a 15-hour food protection class to sell lemonade.
Bicycle injuries. Equip bicycles with reflectors. I don't have bicycles.
After this, there's an exam. Then I have to wait weeks to find out if I passed. And if I did, I'd have to buy a government-approved fire extinguisher.
I got my fire extinguisher. Might be a fire out here.
To do this legally would take months.
Forget it.
So I did this without a permit. Fox's lawyer gave me the okay if I didn't actually sell anything. I had to give everyone refunds and get the lemonade back.
Wait a second. I shouldn't have sold it to you. I have to get it back.
Of course, my customers thought this was crazy.
It's a silly law.
Many had once had their own lemonade stand.
Did you have to get a license to open the stand?
I'm from Canada, and we didn't need a license for a lemonade stand.
Wait. Actually, I can't let you drink this because
why?
There are so many rules here. I'm not allowed to sell this to you. I have to give you your money back.
What are the rules?
I didn't have time to get all the permits.
What? In Pakistan, you can do nothing. You didn't need any permit in there.
That's how it used to be in the United States. It was once easy to start a business here.
Back in the 1920s, you take a poor, illiterate Irishman or an Italian, he goes out and buys a used car, paints the word taxi on it, and he's in business for himself.
Walter Williams is now an economist, but as this old documentary showed, he got his start driving a cab.
I made about $125 a week.
But today, he couldn't buy a cab in my town unless he was a millionaire.
Politicians here and in most cities now require every aspiring taxi driver to buy one of these medallions. No medallion, you're not legal. But these medallions now cost $1 million.
Yes, very expensive.
So expensive that only big companies can afford that. So now these drivers are not entrepreneurs, they're employees.
Yeah, it's because of the medallion. I cannot drive my own car.
It restricts entry, and the purpose of these licenses is to keep outsiders out.
No,
so that
in a safe and orderly marketplace.
I believe that. The purpose of the licensing is to keep outsiders out, so the inns can charge us higher prices.
There you go.
One of the few remaining places where it's still easy to start a taxi business is Washington, D.C. These drivers like that.
It's the last bastion of free entrepreneur system in the industry in America.
But now this lobbyist wants to end that freedom.
You have to regulate.
He wants to bring the dumb medallion rule to Washington, D.C. He wrote a bill that would cut the number of taxis allowed in half.
There's too many taxi cabs?
These D.C. drivers don't think so.
Kill the medallion bill!
They like being allowed to work. But the lobbyist convinced this D.C. city councilman to sponsor his bill.
We want to professionalize our taxi cab system.
Professionalize the system? What's that mean?
Well, we want to make sure that the customer has a good riding experience.
That sounds good, but...
What is this? What is this?
Regulations already in the books subject every driver to petty harassment.
This is unacceptable right here.
Still, at least in Washington, the open entry rules allow newcomers to enter the business.
Washington, D.C. is the only major city in America that allows an open entry.
Isn't that good for poor people?
No, it's not good. A medallion system is what is needed.
But that squeezes newcomers out.
And newcomers should be squeezed out.
Why?
Because this is a regulated industry.
How much you get paid to lobby for this?
Well, I get paid by the hour. And my rate per hour is $775.
This man, he's above money. I can't blame him. But don't hustle me.
I'm told you're paid by the taxi king, Jerry Schaefer. He's using you to squeeze the competition out.
I'm being paid not by the taxi king, but by the taxi...
Bunch of taxi kings, kings and queens and jacks, to keep the little guys out.
By some kings, queens, jacks, and just some poor little folks.
Poor folks rarely pay lobbyists, and if he gets his regulation, poor people won't become taxi entrepreneurs.
But only a few are going to be able to afford it, if any.
Washington has been sort of an open place for taxis, being able to become a taxi driver. That's good.
We love it.
So why monkey with good?
When folks have some ideas about different legislation, our job is to implement it.
You've only been here 4 years. How many laws have you gotten passed?
Oh, many. We are very active here in my office legislatively.
You ever repeal any?
No, I don't think many have been repealed.
Passing new laws adds to the power of politicians, but it makes it much harder to be an entrepreneur.
You're going to run me out of business.
We're trying to get out of here!
So that's the end of the taxi situation and why licensing is probably available. When we return, who decides what you eat or drink? You? Turns out, no. Why? Stay with us, and you'll find out. Well, we're out of time here, but we're going to continue this issue tomorrow as we look at illegal everything. From the question, who decides what you eat? You? To recording police, legalizing drugs, and prostitution. A lot of features are going to be covered with this illegal everything tomorrow. Coming up next week, Stupid in America. It's a nasty title, but some nasty things are going on in America's public schools, and it's about time I face up to them. So are we really stupid in America? When it comes to education, maybe. Also coming soon next week, the question, should kids be banned from restaurants? A short, just moments ago, I posted a poll. I posted a poll with the question, should kids be banned from restaurants, libraries, movie theaters, and airports? A lot of you said no. That's good. But there's still a lot more articles to be talked about, and a Dr. Phil episode you will not miss. Also coming up soon, next week, overweight or underfed? Sure, should kids be sent to foster care because should parents be arrested for allowing their kids to eat too much? Or being underfed? We'll answer that question for you next week. That's Give Me a Break for this Saturday going to Sunday. We'll see you again for Give Me a Break. Join us tomorrow night for Give Me a Break Sunday. For all of us here at YouTube, have a good night, everyone.